I would refer to myself as a car enthusiast, you know. I'm currently 21. My first car was a Mustang. Sold that Mustang, bought this Mustang. I go to a ton of car shows, you know. I joined a bunch of groups on Facebook. I joined my friend, he got me into autocrossing, so, you know, racing in a parking lot, pretty fun. But yeah, I try to get out as much as I can to car events. I'm always looking at car videos online, so yeah, I would consider myself a car enthusiast. Yeah, so this car I got maybe 3 years ago now. It was a complete blast. It's a 2003 Mustang Mach 1. Unfortunately, I spun a rod bearing, which caused basically the motor to need to be replaced. So right now the motor is currently in the process of being rebuilt. So it's been down for a year, but hopefully it'll be back soon. So I'm only 21, so I've had 3 so far. I had my yellow convertible Mustang when I got my license. Then I bought this car, the Mach 1, and then I bought a pickup truck. All the time. Every Friday night I go to Belmore. They have an awesome car show there. Everybody shows up. Tuesday nights I go to Oyster Bay. That's like more of a fancy car show, people with a lot of money. You can see some really rare cars there. Sunday mornings there are some car shows out in Comac. There are car shows at the beach, so there's always something to do. And I like to do the autocross too, which is like every 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, you know, cars are my passion. I enjoy tinkering with them. You meet people, that's another big thing. And you know, everybody has the same passion that they share with you there. And you get to see cars that you normally never see on a daily basis because they're always in people's garages, just hidden away. And you know, people just bring them out for these events, and that's really all, you know, when you can see them. So I really enjoy going to the events. Anything special about specific cars? Definitely. Like, if you really are passionate about cars, you know, like specific cars that are extremely rare. You know, you could be driving down the road and there's a Mercedes worth over $1 million that normal people wouldn't know what it is, basically. And you know, people at these events, they know, and they're able to, you know, appreciate those types of cars. I mean, there are cars that show up that are over 100 years old. And you know, specific car shows for like electric cars, I would say that the electric car scene really hasn't have a big following behind it. You know, people love the roar of engines, of V12s and V10s, of Lamborghinis and Ferraris and even V8s. But you know, Teslas, everybody sees a million Teslas on the road, and there's really no modifications you can do to electric cars. Maybe down, you know, years down the line when people can hot rod electric cars, there'll be a following, but not really. Would I go out of my way to buy an electric car? No. A Tesla is 50 grand. I'd much rather spend 50 grand on new Mustang GT or, you know, another car that would have much of a following behind it. Like, I enjoy driving manual transmission. Electric cars just don't have that. You know, people say that electric cars just don't have any soul to them, and I truly believe that. You know, like, I just love internal combustion cars, and that's what people just, you know, don't understand anymore, is that there's so much more to gas-powered cars. Yeah, so, you know, cars obviously produce exhaust fumes, right? But people, I feel like, are brainwashed with the fact that, oh, electric cars are so much better for the environment. Well, you need to charge those cars, and the electricity from those cars just doesn't come from thin air. Coal-burning factories have to produce even more burning coal to charge these electric cars. And I think down the line, our power grid currently cannot support a complete change from gas to electric. I feel like we would definitely need to make more coal factories in order to support a completely electric car grid on the road. Oh no, not at all. I hope to drive, you know, cars that run on gas until I die. I mean, I'm only 21, but, you know, I think it's going to be a long time before, you know, we switch completely to get electric and, you know, get rid of all gas stations. I think that'll be, you know, way out of my lifetime. Hopefully, I really hope so. I just love gas cars. Honestly, I consider it a lifestyle. You know, people spend thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars modifying their cars, you know, with turbos, superchargers, built transmissions, fully forged internal engines. You know, there's such a following behind it that's been over the course of decades, even since the first car was made. It definitely is more of a lifestyle than a hobby when you're spending that much money on something that you enjoy. Yeah, so I would definitely say it's more of a lifestyle. I mean, you know, there are some of these like takeover meets that happen. You know, you can see them on social media in like California. Those people have no passion for cars, I would say. They buy these cars just to completely destroy them. They don't enjoy what they have. I would say the people that truly enjoy the cars and the passion are the ones that go to the shows, show their car off. Obviously, you're not going to completely get rid of people speeding. You know, speed limits were made to be broken, obviously. But you truly should be just racing your car at an event like an autocross, where the parking lot is reserved for that event, or a drag strip, or a track event. Yeah, I would say definitely the people that are true enjoyers of the sport will respect the car. No, I don't think it will die out. Cars have been a part of not only, you know, America's heart, but Europe and Asia. There's car culture across the entire globe, and kids just keep on getting more into it. Every generation is passed down, you know. Where you can really see it is Instagram. There are hundreds of thousands of people that have Instagrams for their cars. Like I have an Instagram for myself, and I have an Instagram for my car. And I have a YouTube channel for my car too. Like this passion will never die. Well, here's the thing. 90% of the cars on the road are just regular cars, like Nissans and, you know, your average SUV. These car meets are just a small fraction of, like, I guess, souped up cars on the road, like gas burners. I don't think they'll ever get greener. You know, you go to these meets sometimes and there's cars there that have insane motors that are just chugging gas. But in the grand scheme of things, it's really not hurting the environment more than the regular cars on the road. Maybe years down the line when there's more, you know, electric cars produced, it'll be greener. But as for gas cars, I don't think that the true enthusiasts will go for a greener, you know, effect. I'd say if I have a final message, it would be definitely, if you have an itch to get into cars, you will not be disappointed. There is a never-ending, you know, things to do. There's always something to do with cars. You know, stuff breaks, you fix them, you learn, and it's a great skill to know. So definitely get into cars.
Sounds like it's Cam. More than I can count. Two.
Do you like electric cars?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Do you think electric cars have any place in like cars like this?
Yes.
Are you aware of the adverse environmental effects of like cars and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, but are you aware? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you aware of what it takes to make an electric car?
No, sir.
Well, you need to look into that, especially the batteries.
Yeah. Say you prefer like cars that run on fuel instead of like diesel or
No, no. I think electric cars are cool. They're fast.
you say you're deep rooted within like the car community, the car culture.
Uh, what do you mean? No, yeah, but what do you mean by deep rooted? Like,
I mean, just like,
I mean, I grew up being a car guy.
yeah. Yeah. What do you think of people who like rip it down their nice like speed cars in their neighborhoods or like
Oh no, I'm not liking that.
you know, like
Well, when I was younger, I did street racing, but not around places like this though.
so you wouldn't think they're very representative of the car community?
Oh well, you know what? It's hard to not, step on the gas,
Yeah.
especially when people are watching you. 57. Thanks, guys. Do I like the attention? Yes.
Yeah. Of course.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. How often are you at like car events?
Well, not as much as I lately, for the last few years, not a lot because of my job, but I haven't been here in maybe 25 years, and I grew up in Copiague, so yeah, my first time in a long time. I always work Friday nights. I work Friday night. I used to drive by with my truck, seeing everybody.
Do you think this culture would ever like die out? See,
No.
like generations.
No, there's too many cars around all over the country. There's thousands.
I think it'll continuously be like
Yeah, yes. He was just talking to a young guy that loves these cars.
I see people all ages.
Yeah. Now, are they going to be worth, as much money, down the road when you're my age? I don't know. Done?
My God, yeah.
I love automobiles.
You refer to yourself as smart.
Yes, I would.
How many people?
8. Currently 2.
How often?
1 to 2 a week.
Kind of car.
Car shows every couple days, and then every so often I have my racing events.
Why do you?
It's just a way to bring all the people in the car community together. The racing events, people who want to drive the cars a little more, and the car shows, people who want to show off their craftsmanship and what they have.
Is there something special about specific cars, or why can't you have a scale filled with electric cars? Have them all.
So you can purchase cars based on what you're trying to do with them. So for instance, this is a sports car. Is it practical in the daily sense? No. But is it fun to drive? Yes. If you were to buy a pickup truck, hopefully you're using a pickup truck for a reason like towing or hauling something around. An SUV more for a family-oriented thing. Where electric cars fall into play, I'd feel, is they're better more around town because they don't use gas or anything. But I feel when you start getting on the highway, you have to map trips based on where charging positions are, when there's always a gas station almost on every corner for a normal gas car.
Like electric cars?
I would say electric cars have their place. Like I said, around town, I would definitely get an electric car when the infrastructure is better for long car trips, especially with the self-driving capabilities on some of the newer Teslas. You know, you get in a car, you have to drive 4 or 5 hours. What's the point? It's so boring. It's not an enjoyable drive. If I could click a button and just say, take me there, well, why not?
You are the climate off the grid.
Yes. I'm fully aware of the environmental effects. This car does not help. It has no environmental safeties left on it, no catalytic converters, nothing. But I do understand the environmental effects that electric cars have on the environment with the production and producing of them, the amount of methane gases that get released in the atmosphere when they have to mine the cobalt and all the other rare metals that go into these batteries and chips that go into these vehicles. I do agree that electric cars in a good quantity would be better for the environment, but when countries like Switzerland have entirely outlawed electric cars purely because their power grid can't support it, there needs to be a set process to implement these things. So I do feel that electric cars will be the way of the future, but not right now, not with the current setup of our infrastructure.
Cars that use it, and also
No, the cars that I drive are very old-fashioned. This car doesn't have airbags, doesn't have power steering, doesn't even have AC. But everybody who has driven it or ridden in it says it's an experience that they'll never be able to have in another normal car. It's just a different type of driving experience. For most people, driving is just a way of getting to point A to point B. For the average car enthusiast, it's a little bit of working on the car, showing your own craftsmanship and what you're doing in your own style. And then for the other half of the driving enthusiast, it's the skill of driving. And that's not just skill is not being a safe driver per se, it's how you can handle a car, especially at speed or around a racetrack of some sort.
hobby or recreation?
I would say it's more of a lifestyle. It's if you call it a hobby, it's a very expensive hobby. It's something that requires a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of space to store cars, because a car like this is never going to be your main car that you take to work every day. It can't be. It's just not built that way. So you need time and money and space. So really you're dedicating a chunk of your life to this sport or enthusiast hobby.
Down Bigfoot roads at night, donuts, burnout, big representative person.
I would not say that those people are representative at all. The general populace of the car community would come together and say the people doing these things called sideshows, which is when they take over street intersections, do donuts, and then people crash cars, get hurt, cops chase them. That is not, we try and stay away from those people. When I race, I don't race on the street. I race in closed courses, helmets, safety gear, insurance paid for, everything so nobody gets hurt. Car shows, people want to rev a car. A little noise doesn't hurt anybody, but once you get out on the public road, your actions can affect anybody, and we wouldn't represent that.
I think this hobby will ever die out.
I think it will continue generation to generation. My grandfather was into cars. My dad was into cars. I'm into cars. I hope to pass that on to my kids and their kids then. Cars are never going to go away. They might change shape. They might change engines or how they get driven, but they will never go away. Not in the near future, at least.
We saw from many car organizations like NASCAR that there might be a future for a much greener event.
So an even bigger event that happens that has done that is the Le Mans series, the European Endurance Series. The European Endurance Series right now for their top prototype class requires that they all run a very specific fuel that is supposed to be some green fuel that they're developing. Porsche is actually strongly developing that. Porsche is right now, I would say, the leader in electric car technology, but they've also been the leader of sports cars and racing in general for their entire existence. And they're trying to hold on to that future of the electric cars while also trying to make their gas cars go the distance with better gases, better materials built, cleaner.
What about smaller low-cost?
I think for local events that I do, which is just people who have day jobs and they're competing for fun, I think it'll be a much longer time till something like that happens, just because the sheer amount of money and the little research we have on the topic right now.
So you think that option like stuff there or
In that sense, yes. I think that would be viable in the transport aspect of it, the making aspect of the cars too. But I think in the actual race cars or something a little smaller than like NASCAR or something like that, it'll be a while before that happens.
what makes the engine sound so compared to the silent sound of electric?
So There's a great car from the 70s from a race team in France, Matra, that used to make V12 race engines. Now, Enzo Ferrari in Italy has always said V12 is the greatest sounding engine in the world. If you think about it from a little more of a scientific standpoint, the harmonics of the firing order of V12 create such a high-pitched harmonic sound, almost like harmonics in a choir group. All these cylinders are firing at the same time, creating different sounds, but they all are in harmony. Now, going back to the Matra, they used really expensive headers, forged headers. So if you think about a forged piece of metal and you hit it with another piece of metal, it's like a tuning fork. It's an instrument. So when 12 cylinders are revving and hitting these pieces of metal, that car sounds like a musical instrument. It would be the same thing as like, why does a piano sound good? Why does a choir and harmonics sound good? It's kind of the same aspect. When an electric car goes down the street, you just hear motion noise of the car, the tires on the road, the brakes squeaking. So it doesn't really have its effect on the car community when you hear nothing.
What would you say for who are unaware, unexperienced, noise or bad loud engines?
All those people, all I can say is those people are a little bit boring. That's all I can say about that. If it hurts your ears, turn away.
Do not say that there's any possibility for. What a crazy coincidence. Tyler ripping it
And then I hear the
electric
whooshing
car.
of the electric car. Great.
Said that electric car doesn't saying that like
Right now what we're seeing is there's a big thing for the last 10, 15 years. The LS series of V8 engines coming out of Corvettes and Camaros are what people consider the swap engines. So when people swap engines in cars, enthusiast cars, they're taking the original engine out and putting a bigger, more powerful engine in. And that engine was the swap. Everybody did it. There's a lot of research on it. Makes good power. It's good for the money. Right now, Tesla is actually doing a crate electric swap. And people are starting to take older cars like this and putting an electric motor in it and batteries. From what we've seen, it's really good. For what I do, autocross racing, it's instant torque. It's really good. The problem is there's only a few people doing it and the money is way too much for these swaps compared to the older swaps.
what would you consider an article that the EPA released where it goes over electric vehicles?
The EPA can say what they want to say. What I would always say is read every article you can, find out all the information, make your judgment after that. The EPA has their own envelope that they're trying to push right now. California and New York have already signed that in the next few years. They're going to stop the sale of new gas cars. But then again, you look at countries like Switzerland, who is an entirely carbon neutral free environment. And they've totally outlawed electric cars for the time being. I've done research, I've read articles. It's not even just for the environment, it's a cultural thing too. A lot of these rare minerals are mined all around in South America and very, very much found. There's a lot of use of child labor, slave labor still in this day and age down in South America doing these mines. And then they have to ship all these materials up to the Scandinavian countries because for some reason that's really the mecca for building batteries. And then they ship them again to America and to Japan or whoever they're sending them to build these electric cars. I think in the long run, an electric car is better for the environment, but in the short time span that people own cars these days, which is about 5 years, the gas car will be better for the environment in those 5 years because of how bad the electric car is to build.
Look over this, spend as much time as possible to scroll around on this website. That's the EPA's official website.
Okay, so what it shows is exactly what I said. Some studies have shown that it creates more carbon pollution in the production, and it also says that in the long run, an EV is better, and that's exactly what I said. Where the research stops is it doesn't look at the statistics of how long people are owning vehicles. It will take 2 full separate ownerships of cars, 10 years. Let's say the average ownership is 5 years. 2 ownerships of cars to match 1 electric car in that same time span. That's where the research stops. I have actually looked at this site before when doing my research. I've done school projects on this in high school and college. I've done presentations. So I have read most of what's in here. They could have updated it. They also talk about what I see is the infrastructure and power grid. The electric car is only as good as what's powering it. Right now in this country, very coal-fired still, very oil-fired. You know, you get to certain areas of the country like Buffalo, well, it's a lot of hydro, it's good for the environment, but the country hasn't caught up with this technology yet. Until the infrastructure is set in place, the electric car is going to stay stagnant. People are going to buy it, electric prices are gonna go up. I mean, even in the summertime, like now, they normally release alerts saying, don't use your AC because it's gonna overload the power grid. We have blackouts. A few years ago, I remember when electric cars started becoming big, they included electric car charging with the the AC because of how much energy they take. So the infrastructure has gotten better. It will always get better. We are trying to build towards this. I think right now in its current state, the electric car isn't the efficient move. More of a hybrid car would probably be better, because a hybrid car, it takes a little less than an electric car to build. Still has some bad things because it needs batteries, motors, all this copper and all this lithium and cobalt. But the hybrid car also uses the gas. So for the normal consumer on a car trip, it gets great gas mileage. You don't have to fill up as much, but when you need to fill up, you don't have to sit and wait an hour for an electric car charge, you just fill up. And then as you drive, it recharges the batteries on its own. So you're really never tapping out of the infrastructure power system to charge these vehicles. All I can say is understand what you're trying to do with the vehicle. If you are just buying a vehicle to have some fun, a sports car is a great option. Vehicle to tow, do anything utility, a truck would be a great option. Or if you just need a vehicle to get yourself to point A to point B, honestly, I would very much consider a hybrid electric car at this point. Gives you the best of both worlds, electric and gas, good for the environment and good for your wallet.